This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed. Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join Terry with Tracer Rounds every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central to hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Tune in to see if you're on target. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio, giving veterans a voice.
Hi, welcome to Tracer Rounds, and I'm your host, Terry. And today with me in studio, I have my brother-in-law, Ruben Gaona, who is a Marine, Vietnam vet, Marine. And I'm so excited to have him on the show tonight. And so we were going to talk to him about his service and just a little bit about his businesses and about his awesome car collection too. So hi, Ruben, welcome to the show. So can you tell us a little bit about what your entry into the military was like and what your service was like and what rank and where you were assigned and just anything you want to tell us about your service?
Well, in 1965, I got drafted into the Army, but the Army wanted to take me before Christmas, and I didn't want to go before Christmas, and they wouldn't give an exception. So I talked to the Marine Corps recruiter and he said, no problem, we can take it right after Christmas. So I think December 28, 1965, I reported for boot camp in San Diego, MCRD. And what a rude awakening.
Yeah.
What a rude awakening. We had some yellow footprints to step on. And from then on, you start your military life. And you've been talked to like you've never been talked to before. It was just an awakening because I was from a little town of Parma, Idaho, which if you blink an eye, you'd miss it. So I was pretty sheltered. I'm an orphan out of 11. My mom passed away when I was 15. And so quit high school my sophomore year to support 10 kids.
Wow.
So we didn't have what I was looking for. I didn't have a plan, just to have my kids all together and not get them separated. So I'll tell you a little story about myself before I go into any more. It was quite hectic because here's a 15, 16-year-old boy trying to support 10 kids and no mom and dad. So because my mom died of a car accident. So we were orphaned at a pretty young age. So worked odd jobs, $1 an hour, so support, put food on the table. And so it wasn't the easiest, but you learn to grow up pretty fast.
Yeah.
And consequently, it was a Christian family in Nampa, Idaho that took everybody in except me because I was too much on my own. So I had a gentleman that owned a furniture store, so he was my legal guardian until I turned 18.
Wow.
So after I turned 18, I said, well, there's nothing left for me in this world. Just going to join the Marine Corps, join the service, because I had already got drafted and I didn't want to go in the Army. So I chose the Marine Corps. I said, well, I want to see what's the baddest. So,
Right.
so I picked the Marine Corps, and it was the baddest for me in my book,
Yeah.
but no, military life was good. I can't complain. Just going to Vietnam for 13 months. I During training, we done all the training, and then when done with training, then they were calling troops names and for different MOSs. And it's funny. I was telling my wife the other day that I felt kind of left out because I never called my name. I said, "Wow, they don't want me." I thought I was feeling left out because all my buddies were leaving,
Yeah.
and consequently, they had picked out an MOS for me. So as RTO or a comm man, be a radio man. So I go, oh
Yeah.
my God, that's what I needed. But consequently, that was good for me. So I really enjoyed it. Just a small group of guys. And it isn't like when you're in the infantry. There's a whole bunch of guys.
Yeah.
So they put me. I was when I got to Vietnam. I was in a combat engineer battalion for the guys who went out and blew mines and build bridges, and so I got to go with all those guys as a comm man, a communicator.
Yeah.
Me and a lieutenant, of course, and so it was quite an experience. Quite an experience. So something that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Some of the things is best left alone. We don't say too much about, but for
Right.
the most part. It was hard. It was hard being away from home, away from family. You all by yourself, and where I had nobody to talk to except my siblings that I wrote letters every day to, or not every day, when I had a chance.
Right.
Yeah. And like I was telling my wife, during graduation from boot camp, all the Marines had their family there to congratulate them, and I had nobody because just my siblings, and
Yeah.
kind of, you kind of feel left out. You feel lonely because you see all the troops have all the relatives there and like celebrating. And what am I going to celebrate? Just getting done with boot camp. That was a big show in itself, but
Yeah.
it's fun to have family.
Yeah.
So you, but I never had nobody. So
Wow.
yeah,
That is hard.
it is hard. And as a matter of fact, we were just talking about it last night. And that's because a good friend of mine just graduated from boot camp and Marine Corps boot camp, and his mom and dad and his brother were there.
Hmm.
And I said I felt so jealous. I was telling my wife, I said, I am so jealous, but I had nobody, and he is so blessed to have people around him that love him and
Right.
proud of him for fulfilling that accomplishment of graduating from boot camp, which I know boot camp in any branch of the service is not easy, regardless.
Right. Yeah.
So I admire everybody that went through any kind of boot camp and they finish it, which takes a lot of dedication.
Yes, it does.
Hmm.
It does. You
So,
got a couple of comments you've got from Bradley Jackson. It says Semper Fi Devil. And then he says, Brother, thank you and welcome home. And then you got some hearts from Outlandish. And, Matt Lucy says, you're on, we're on fire. He appreciates the story.
oh, I can share with you what kind of life I've had, and it's Marine Corps was good. There's always a bad spot, the bad areas and bad spots, but we kind of put those in the back burner. We don't see them, and we just kind of talk about the good stuff, the good times we had, and those are the things I want to remember, and not the other stuff, and
Right.
the pranks you pull on other Marines, and
Yes.
you, you know, as I'll tell you, it's funny that as a radio man, everything you go for a part and everything's by, as you well know, that you give a nomenclature, a number. And for example, we had one that we had some kids come in and they thought they knew it all. So we sent them to supply. Says, hey, Marine, go to supply and give me an ST1. I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll go get it. So they go to supply, and the supply sergeant asks him, he says, what are you looking for? Private? He goes, an ST1. He said, I'm sorry, I had to laugh because they didn't know, and
Right.
they were just obeying orders, just say, hey, because you're an NCO, and they're not,
Right.
and you know what ST1 is? It's a stone. It's ST1. Yeah. So, so the
What?
push the price supply sergeant, and there's another one that was I could share a couple with you.
Okay.
And as a radio man, you would say, hey, private, my radio's not working one, so we need some frequency grease. So here we go to you go to supply. Supply says, yeah, well, no, you have to go to mess hall for that one. So anyway, this is the pranks we pulled, just we had fun. I mean, you remember of all the pranks and all the fun you had, you don't, you know, and sure you went out and go in the bush, and that's not too good. But
Yeah.
the better part is just all the pranks we pull on each other, and I got pranks pulling me too. So I'm not the only one pulling pranks. Everybody else pulling pranks, So we had a good time. We had a good time. We had on a sad note, we had this one kid that just coming from the States, and he played guitar real well. He was in a band,
Yeah.
and so we trained him, and it was kind of cool because at night in the tent he would play the guitar, and some of the brothers were joining in with him and harmonized with him. And oh, we loved that kid. We call him Toy because he looked like a little kid, like a little toy kid. He was just
Hmm.
old enough to be in the Marine Corps, but he was one of our radio men. So after he'd been in country maybe a month or two, we trained him, and we sent him out, and he never come back. He got
Oh.
in an ambush. So
Mm.
to this day, I still think about it.
Yeah, I bet. That
Yeah.
is hard.
But for the most part, this we just leave that one alone. But it was kind of cool. But seeing it, we had some good times. We had some good times. I know war is hell, but
Yeah.
you make it the best you can, and because you're already there, you're already committed. You sign a blank check form that you're committed. Is we're going to do for our country.
Right. No,
And,
that's true.
whatever our country asks us, we're going to do it. And I was naive and dumb, and I didn't know, but I don't think I let my kids do it because after what I see, and I don't want them to endure the same hardships that I did.
Right. No, I get it.
You know, and the young men they join right now, I really admire them. I'm nothing but respect for them,
Yeah.
and respect for all the troops and Marines and Navy, Air Force. Everybody's come back in one piece and sane. They're not crazy like some of them are, and it's hard not to go crazy. I can understand why a lot of vets come back on drugs and on alcohol, and I've got friends like that,
Mm.
and I feel bad, and I try to be positive with them and talk to them, but for the most part, some of them just took the wrong road, and consequently, I had a good Lord on my side that helped me a lot, and I will tell you that while I went out in the bush, I I had like a shield around me that I never got a scratch. I seen a lot of garbage, a lot of crap, but the lieutenant and we just never got hurt or anything else. I to me, I think we had the good Lord's protecting us. We had a shield around us, and like take care of this boy. He's got to go back home to his family. You know,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he did, because now you're here with us and you're part of our family or my family. And so I appreciate that. We do have a comment from Bradley Jackson. He wants to know, he says, as a com Marine himself, I have to ask, what was your most memorable, or what was your most memorable moment, I guess? And then it says, coming from a corporal in com.
Well, my memorable moments is mostly it's just being friends with my fellow com men, and we're learning from each other just how to survive in the bush, and we help each other out as much as we could. How are we going to survive this crap? How are we going to, what are we going to do to survive? And so, and we took a lot of ideas from each other, and some of them were pretty dumb, but then we would discuss it, and to me, that was good brotherhood, because we learned from each other.
Yeah.
So to me, just being able to survive, that was the best I've ever. But besides the pranks.
Right. Yeah, those are always good. We're going to take a quick break. So we're going to listen to Mr. Red, White, and Blue by Coffee Anderson, who is a big supporter of the military, and he is a Texas boy. And we're going to play him, and then we'll be right back with Ruben Gaona.
Sure, no problem.
It's the guts and it's the glory, 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Family is proud but torn, but if you knew him you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave, and then he came home with only one hand. 'Cause Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down here the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line, march in line. Hey. Hey.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hi, welcome back to Tracer Rounds, and I'm your host, Terry. And with me today, I have Ruben Gaona, who is my brother-in-law, and he is a Vietnam veteran, and he is a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Semper Fi. Semper Fi. And we did have a question that just before we went to break, and so I'll put that up on the screen so you can see it, but I'll also just kind of read it out. It says, can you tell us what was in your mind that kept you going other than getting home?
Well, let me tell you a little story before I'll answer your question, but I'll tell you a story. When I left Vietnam, I was pretty upset at our Lord because He had taken away my mom, my kids. So I thought, I'm never coming back. I don't want to come back. I don't want to ever come back. I said, dear Lord, you took everything away from me, and I'll share with you guys because this is how I felt. So consequently, I did get my wish. I got to go to Vietnam. I got part of my wish, not all of it, because I come back. But anyway, I used to go to church on Sundays, and there was this lady, this girl that would always sit with me. She was married, but she was my friend. She was a waitress at a restaurant where I used to go, and I told her the story. I said, hey, I'm going to go to Vietnam and never come back. So I really was really a death wish, really. And because I'm upset at our Lord and just done. I'm checking out. I'm out of here. So one day while I was in Vietnam, I got a letter from this girl, and it says, how are you doing? And I answered back, don't write to me no more because I don't want to keep in contact. So then she wrote back me another letter and says, doing one thing, go talk to the priest, chaplain, whatever have you, and tell them exactly what you just told me. So I wrote back and said, okay, I promise. So I did go do that. And I went to see the priest, and I told him exactly what I thought. And he didn't seem interested at all. He just kind of looked like, just another troop, But then
Wow.
As soon as I got done, I checked out. I get back to my unit. He says, oh, by the way, Marine, when you come in from the bush, when you come in from patrol, I want you to report to me. Yes, sir, because he was an officer. So, yes, sir, you don't say no, sir.
That's right.
So, say, okay, so consequently, every time I come back, I had to report for him. But little did I know that he was setting a hook on me because I told him how I felt. I didn't want to return. But little did I know that he was setting a hook on me, like little lost black sheep. I was out there in the middle of no place. And before I knew it, he had a hook set on me so deep in me that my thoughts were changing. I wanted to come home. I wanted to come home to my family, to my siblings. And I go, wow, I changed. What happened to me? Because I feel that the good Lord was talking to me.
Yeah.
He was talking to me and says, hey, crazy kid, get this out of your head. You got a lot to live for, a lot to go for. So consequently, when I was out in the bush, I never got a scratch. He protected me. And here I am.
Well, you have to, that lady that you knew that you went to the diner and she was a waitress. She knew what she was doing, and God put her in the right place at the right time to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't give up either when you said, don't write me, don't talk to me. I'm good. Like, don't bother. But she was steadfast. And so her prompting puts you in a good place and then puts you in a hedge of protection, which I thank God for. I'm glad
I do too.
And Joel, our president, he just gave you a comment and he said, you're amazing.
Well, thank you so much for the comment because this is part of my life. I grew up, and I was, like I said, for a while, I was a non-believer. And I shared it with our Sunday school class one time, and people couldn't believe it in our class that I was talking that way, talking against our Lord, our Savior. And so consequently, that priest turned me around.
Yes, he did.
And here you are. And then I know he tried with other people, but some wouldn't never listen. But
Yeah.
you have to believe to succeed.
Yeah, I believe that for sure. You got another comment from Bradley Jackson, who is a Marine as well. It says, "There's no war without calm. You had a job to do and a family to love you. God bless you, brother."
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. But there, as we go on, there's a lot of stories from Vietnam. Just a lot of you feel for the people there because they didn't know any better, especially the kids and the women. Uh, we never got to places like Saigon, the pretty cities. We was always in a war zone.
Yeah.
I was stationed by the DMZ between the North and the South Vietnam. I was real close to the DMZ. I was stationed at a place called Quang Tri and then Don Ha. But I started at Da Nang, and from Da Nang I moved on forward through. Everybody's heard of Hue, city of Hue. It was a beautiful city till the Tet Offensive, but from then on they kept moving me up north, and then I was also with as I was in communications also with as a forward absorber with. It was in an army base called Camp Carroll. I was there for a while with army people,
Mm-hmm.
and but we will rotate back and forth with other Marines that take our turns, and but pretty much that was my time in Vietnam. I was mostly up north with the DMZ. I spent about maybe 70% of my time when I started, and there were the 30% was other areas, but the 70% of my time I was at North South Vietnam, but before you were North Vietnam. So it was different. It was different. Monsoon seasons were different. You're never dry. You're wet. You sleep under a poncho with the radio on, listening, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember what being dry was. Eat a lot of sea rations, and people that didn't like spam. We got spam sandwich once in a while, and
Yeah.
to this day, I don't mind spam. A lot of people don't like it, but it was food.
Right.
Kept some,
You learn to survive.
yeah.
So Bradley says, "Brother, I want to give you a hug." And he said, "Would you visit Vietnam again if it was offered?"
I said no. I said I would never go back, but it wasn't the people's fault. Nothing. Maybe I would go back and just visit again, but I like to go back more to for our station that rather than the big city of Saigon. I'm nothing against Saigon. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I'd rather go back. If I did go back, I'd go visit by where I was at because I understand I've Googled the cities on Googled it, and boy, it doesn't look nothing like when I was there. So,
Right. Yeah, it's changed, I'm sure.
and I heard it's pretty affordable because I've got a place that my wife and I go to. Believe it or not, pedicures, guys. it, and they're Vietnamese, and we've talked, and they've told me stories of how pretty it is, how inexpensive it is, good to visit. Because I told them how I felt, and they said, "Don't feel that way. You will like the changes. War is hell again, but you don't think about it no more. You go with open mind and try to forget. Well, will never forget. It's always in a database,
Right.
but go with an open mind, and I think I probably would enjoy it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind. I thought about it. I said I'd never go, but I think I would.
Yeah. Sometimes you never say never, because at the time you probably mean it to some degree, but then when you think about it later and you have time to reflect and you have time to kind of really process everything, then sometimes your heart and your mind changes and you're like, well, maybe I will. Maybe that would be a good idea.
Yeah. I think it's part of growing up, Terry.
I think so too. I agree with you. We live and we learn, and each day we're processing, old memories and old things that are, in the past. We process them, and then we think about them in a different perspective when we get a little older and get a little wiser, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we get older, we get smarter, I think, or dumber, one of the two. But
Well, I think it's both. So I think it's both. We're going to play a quick song. We're going to play. Well, actually, we're going to play "Giving Veterans a Voice." It's a veterans tribute video. We're going to play that real quick, and then we'll be right back.
Yeah, that last song was awesome. I liked it.
Yeah, Coffee Anderson's amazing. I really love that song. That's probably my go-to.
It was awesome. I liked it.
We're going to play this real quick, and then we'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
In the proud spirit of America and in the proud spirit of our great country,
just got three things to say. God bless our troops, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your
Today we gather to honor the men and women who've served in our armed forces. We celebrate their courage, their resilience, and their sacrifices they've made so that we can stand here in freedom. Veterans Day is a day of gratitude, yes, but it should also be a call to action. Because honoring veterans is just about remembering their service. It's about truly listening to their stories. It's about giving them a voice, not just a day of thanks, but a platform, a mic, and a listening ear every single day. For too long, veterans have come home from battles on foreign soil, only to face silence here. They've returned to a society that says thank you, but often doesn't know how to truly engage with them. But we can change that right here, right now. You see, when you hand a veteran the mic, you're giving them something beyond words. You're giving them a connection, purpose, and the space to share what it means to serve, to sacrifice, and to rebuild. You're giving them the chance to turn their thoughts, sometimes haunted and heavy, into words that cannot heal. Because when veterans speak, they don't tell their own stories. They speak for others who might be willing, struggling, in silence. A voice isn't just a sound, it's a lifeline. And when we give veterans that voice, when we make space for their perspectives in our communities and conversations, we're not just honoring their past, we're strengthening their future. When a veteran shares their story, they're not just reliving their past, they're reshaping their future, one word at a time. So today I challenge each of us to give a veteran in our lives the chance to share. Listen, to not just reply, but to understand. Let their words sink in and be transformed by their experiences. Because a veteran with a voice is a veteran with power. Power to lead, to heal, and to inspire change. Let's give our veterans more than our thanks. Let's give them the mic, the platform, and our commitment to listen, because then they talk. We all grow. Thank you.
Welcome back to Tracer Rounds. I'm your host, Terry, and you're on MBR, where we're giving veterans a voice. And the veteran we're giving a voice to today is my brother-in-law, Ruben Gaona. He's a Marine veteran, Vietnam veteran, and we're so thankful you're on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, Terry. It's so nice to share experiences that I know different veterans have had different experiences in their lives, and we all share the same thing of being a veteran, and work, especially the Vietnam veterans that they know, how do I tell you, the crap we've been through, so
Right.
The people that have been there, done it, so it's an experience. A lot of them don't want to talk about it, and a lot of them, including me, but and some of them won't say nothing about it. I've got a friend that went with me, and we get together and he just refuses to talk about it. There's 4 of us from Parma that went, Parma, Idaho.
Yeah.
There was, and I'm not being racist or nothing. There was a Filipino, 2 Mexican kids, and a white kid. You know,
Yeah.
the Anglo kid, he didn't make boot camp. He couldn't handle the pressure, so they kicked him out. So me and my friend Frankie, me, we all made it. We all got to go to Vietnam. Consequently, our friend Frankie, a month before he was to rotate back to the stateside, he was in an ambush, and he didn't make it. So out of 3 that went, only 2 of us made it back. And
Wow.
friend, his name is Ronnie Padilla. I'll let you give you his name. And he made it, and him and I will hook up once in a while. But to this day, he's been he's not really a hermit, but he don't talk to many people. He'll talk to me and a few friends, but he stays to himself a little bit. But he's coming out of it. I think he'll be okay. He's done good. He's got family. He loves to fish, and we're still good friends. We all have memories that him and I can share, because he was an engineer, combat engineer, and I was a command. And unbelievable, I had no idea, but his company, he was right at the next town over, next city over from 4-hour station. I had no idea till I got home.
Oh, wow.
If I'd have known that, I would have looked him up, but we were all too busy doing our job that we didn't have time to go chit chat, So, but I had no idea. And so was our friend that got killed. He was another unit, but he was also close by. So all of us were real close by, but we never knew it. Never knew.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of, for a while there was a lot of anger, and both of us, him and I, losing our buddy Frankie. His name was Frank Flores, so you guys can look him up and look his bio up. But he was a great guy too as well. We're all a bunch of dumb kids, And
sometimes it's good to be a dumb kid, because you don't really know the peril you're in, and so the more you don't know about something probably protects you just a little bit, because you just kind of go with the flow and do what you need to do, right?
and what I really felt bad was some of those kids that kind of mama's boys have been under mama's apron for forever and ever.
Yeah.
And they finally break loose, and they're thrown in with a bunch of guys, a bunch of men. Well, we're all men then.
Yeah.
We became men. But I was pretty streetwise already, because I had grown up by myself. So I was pretty streetwise. And so it was, even though I wasn't out older than they were, but I was more streetwise than they were. So you give them pointers, give them ideas, give them some heads up, say, hey guys, this is not the way it is, And so you try to mentor them to become a better Marine so they can stay alive.
Right.
Because they had no idea, that they've never endured hardship like I did.
Yeah.
So consequently, they weren't prepared for the stuff to put us in, So
Right.
And I had long talks with a lot of them, just for instance, I didn't comment it. We had a comment. His name was Henry Ford, believe it or not.
Henry Ford. Oh,
Henry
wow.
Ford. He kept telling he was a short-term relation to the real Henry Ford. I go, you so BS, you're full of it. But
he wishes.
But he could have been, he could have been. And he was a real smart kid, really smart. He's the one that we sent after the ST-1.
Oh.
Yeah, but he became one of us real quick, but he never let us forget it.
I bet that's funny.
But no, and I don't know what became of him. And then they had another one. His name was Edward Enkadavich. He was from Jersey. But he didn't pronounce it like we do Jersey. He pronounced it the other way. So
right.
I said, I remember some of my comment. And then we had another comment, name was Curly Coho. He was Indian from Arizona someplace. And one time he went out on patrol and he wanted to borrow my 45 and some my magazines, my ammo magazines, and he come back drunk because he got stressed out. So he traded a couple of my magazines for some booze.
Oh no.
Yeah, so we got in a big old fight. But
I bet you did.
he replaced them. But the point is, it's the stress. I could understand, but at the time I needed my ammo.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And I remember we got in a big old fight in the tent, and then somebody woke us up. But we were still friends. I mean, but it was just he sobered up. He says I had to hit him so hard, you know. But well, that's the way it is. But we stayed friends. You know, he was
That's
just
wall to wall counseling is what that was.
he stayed friends, and he says, I said, well, next time don't sell I'll let you loan my pistol again or whatever you need to go, because we had back then we had M14s and he didn't want to carry. He went to a more secure area, so he wanted to borrow my pistol because I had both. I had pistol and a M14. All he had was an M14, so so I let him borrow my pistol, and I still let him borrow it again. But it's just whatever you do, don't trade my magazines for ammo. For ammo for booze, you know. So
Yeah.
he's cool about it, but it's just part of the things growing up, you know, and I could understand, you know, after I thought about it, you know what? I understand.
Yeah.
I understand because I was streetwise. I understood why he did it, but at spur of the moment, I got pretty upset because what if I had to go out again? I need my ammo.
Yeah, it's life or death, really. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you're thinking. At least that's what I would be thinking for sure.
Yeah, but he was good about it. I don't know how he got it, but he got me what I needed. So I didn't ask.
Oh, yeah, sometimes it's better not to ask. It's just say thank you.
I
That's what
didn't
I need.
ask. You know, so. Oh, you know, that's what I'm saying. You have the memories like that, and your friends that you serve with, you know, and consequently, the engineers, there was a bunch of them, but on common, there was, if anybody knows about there's a few of us, not a whole bunch of us.
Well, because wasn't the radio you carried like the antenna like 6 foot in the air or 8 foot in the air?
Well,
Wasn't it really tall?
well, it's when you station it, but when you're traveling, it's just a little whip antenna, the antenna looks like a tape measure tape.
Right. Yeah, it kind of folds back.
Yeah, it folds back and it flips over, you know, but we call it. It was a PRC 25 called Prick 25 radio, and
Yeah.
you carry extra battery with you all the time,
And it's heavy too. It weighs what, about 25, 30 pounds on your back, I think.
and that or more, you know, and you
Yeah.
carry your battery plus your pack plus your food plus your ammo plus a little of
All your
everything.
battle rattle, it all
Yeah,
weighs.
you
Yeah.
actually a pack mule, but hey, you know, at the moment you don't think about it. I never thought about it, you know, and some of the
Right.
other guys, it's survival.
Right. Yeah,
Survival.
absolutely.
And you know, and just when you come back stateside, that was, to me, that was one of the worst things coming stateside. It was
Yeah.
worse because we were warned when we come to the airport, there was be some long-haired people called hippies calling us a lot of names
Yeah.
and probably throwing stuff at us, spitting us, and call us baby killers. And we were told that we laid a hand on them, we would get court-martialed. And as the other Marines and other servicemen that returned from the war, they pretty well know that you couldn't do nothing about it. Just kind of just look straight ahead and try to ignore them. But
Yeah.
it is so hard. That was to
can't
me, that was one of the hardest, because here you spend 13 months in hell. That's what we spent. We spent 13 months, and you spent 13 months in a week. That's what I spent, to be exact.
Yeah.
But you spend 13 months and then you come home to this, and it's we had no respect for our troops that serve, and that really hurt, because here you go, fight a war to keep communism out of our country and out of other people's country, and it was devastating to us, because we've done so much for our people here in the U.S. and even from adults to hippies to everybody hated us, and
Yeah.
for a long time I would never tell anybody I was a Vietnam vet because of what I might hear, and I might do something that wasn't very nice.
Yeah.
So just kind of it's bottled up in you. It's in your mind. You just don't dare say nothing. Just kind of try to let it blow by and don't think about it, and you hear people talking about what the troops over there were doing. They were doing unforgettable things, and it was quite hard to listen to other people what their thoughts on our troops were. And
Yeah.
I had a real hard time with that.
I
Really.
bet.
But the only people that understood were other troops that like me,
Right. Yeah.
so.
Well,
But
I feel kind of guilty because, people think my generation of service members all the time, and you didn't get that. And so, and it used to bother me that because I felt like I didn't deserve it. So then I realized though that I was taking it for the generation that didn't get it. And
yeah.
so I should appreciate it because I should, I'm giving it to you from them because you didn't get it when you came home.
Uh-uh.
And so I want to tell you thank you for your service. I want to tell
Yeah.
you I'm glad you came home. And I want to tell you I think you did what your nation wanted you to do. And I appreciate everything that you did. I really do.
Well, Terry, it was. Thank you so much. But this a lot of things that's inside of me that is I'm sharing with you now that I haven't shared with nobody, and 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 you other fellow Marines and soldiers and sailors, whoever's out there that's acknowledging all this. I honestly probably think you feel the same way. So sometimes it's good to vent a little bit. It's really helpful. And like I said, I was pretty streetwise then, and I've learned a lot in getting old. And
Reflecting.
yes, and
Yeah.
and I married your sister, which she had a lot to do with it too. She helped me keep my thoughts straight in a lot of ways because I was discussing with her sometimes and talk a little bit. And it's I know you probably want to hear it, but I vent a little bit, not very much, but it worked out well.
Yeah.
You know, like uh, military service was great for me. I learned a lot how to be a leader,
Yeah.
how to because I was an NCO. Because when I got out, I was as a Sergeant E5, and but when I returned stateside, I went for well, before I returned stateside, I went to a shipping over lecture, and there was this guy sitting behind the desk like I am right now, and he gave me a shipping over lecture and promised me all this kind of money. And it's kind of funny because he said they would give me so much to re-enlist, and I looked at him and I could see his ribbons. All he had was a National Defense ribbon, Firewatch ribbon, I called it.
Fireworks.
We call it the Firewatch ribbon. So,
Firewatch. I will love it. That's awesome.
yeah, because you got Firewatch tonight, so you got a ribbon for Firewatch ribbons.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what we named it, and
That's funny.
And I sat there and I listened to him. I said, you know what? I got these and you got one. I said, I think why don't you go and I'll stay in your place, He didn't think it was too funny, but but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty good too.
Don't you think? I think you go and you get trained like I did, and you come back and then we can do the same thing.
Right. Exactly.
So there's a good time, and I probably would have stayed in, but I just didn't want to go back.
Yeah. No.
One tour is enough. I know some of my friends have been a couple of tours, 2 or 3 tours. No, I said the good Lord gave me one good safe tour, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. Nothing happened to me because of him. Returned me home safe and sound to my family, and I said, you know what? Don't push it, Ruben. Don't push it. So, no, it's been a wonderful life. It's just I should have there's a lot of bumps in the road, but you manage to get over those bumps and keep on going.
Yeah.
I've nothing bad to say. Nothing bad to say. Just when I returned back from Vietnam, I was working for this furniture store. A little story there. Working for a furniture store, and the guy that was my legal guardian, because I wasn't 18 to go with the rest of the family. He said, "What are you going to do now?" I said, "Well, I think I'll go just work for you and deliver furniture." I work in a furniture store. And he said, "Well, why don't you go to, I will say, it's called Boise State. It was Boise State College back then."
Mm-hmm.
And I says, "Well, Wade, Joanne, there was Mama Joe, we called her, because they were my legal guardians." I said, "I never finished high school. I don't have a GED. All I got is military service, but nothing to get me in school." He said, "Go try." They kind of pushed me a little bit, kind of pushed me out the door. So, okay, I'll go try just to please you, okay? So I went and took the entry test, and I must have scored pretty good, because then I had to go see a counselor. And then the counselor she's kind of ornery, she was a lady counselor, big lady. And I go see the counselor, and she said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I says, she says, "You're not good on your test, your entry test. And, as you being a military vet, Vietnam vet, we have to let you in school. Even though you don't have a GED, but you scored well, we'll have to let you in. But first semester, you screw up, you're out of here." That's fair enough. So let me in. So they let me in, and I want to be a school teacher. Then I said, "No, they don't pay enough money." So then I went and looked at drafting and surveying. I couldn't get in a class. Mechanics I pretty well knew. He said, "What about auto body?" I go, "I've never even seen a paint gun in my life. I don't know what it looks like."
Yeah.
I said, "I'll give it a try." And just because I want to stay in school, because I didn't want to go back to work. So I got in and I loved it. And that was my trade, was body work, body and fender repair. And I done so well. Then this counselor kind of worked with me, and everybody, the other students said I was brown nosing her. They said, "How can you stand that lady? She's a witch. Nobody can stand her." I said, "I think she's pretty nice," because I had worse than her. And as anybody knows military life, you get yelled at, screamed at, and she had a rough voice, but she was real soft inside. She had a heart of gold. And so because of her, she helped me a lot. I got a job at night teaching kids to get their GED, their high school education. I didn't have one.
Wow.
So I was I was a professor's assistant, but as he was teaching the kids, I was also learning, what he was teaching them, so refreshing my memory. So I was learning as well, but I never did tell the kids that I didn't have a GED or any of that stuff, And so you probably laugh at this, but after the 2 years that I was there, and I was telling the professors, "You know what? I still forget. I remember their names. It was Mr. Tennyson, Mr. Krigbaum. I don't have a GED. What? How'd you get in here helping teach?" He said, "You know what you're doing, but I've never had a GED, or high school diploma."
Yeah.
I said, "The counselor got me the job here." He said, "Well, do you want a certificate?" I go, "No, because I'm going to get my degree anyway, so it doesn't matter if I get what GED." So anyway, I kind of surprised my teachers, because I never had either one,
Right.
GED or a diploma.
Oh, wow.
So this is part of my education stuff, and so, but I did get my degree, and so there again, I thank the good Lord for helping me all through this.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a great ride, I got out and worked my trade, done real well, and then now owning up my own business, and I had up to 23 people employed by me.
Yeah.
So
One of the best shops with the best reputation in the valley in Idaho.
I wasn't the easy guy to get along with, but I had a lot on my plate.
Yeah.
But I feel that the training I got in the Marine Corps, as far as leadership, I learned a lot of discipline, and I expected that from my employees.
Yeah.
And consequently, I didn't have many people quit me because I paid them more money than anybody else did, but I expected a lot more.
Yeah.
Like I expected from my fellow peers in the service. You give it 300%, not just 100%. I want more than that.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to succeed. And this is how I got 3 meritorious promotions while I was in service too.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
It's because I done it all.
Yeah.
I would bust butt, like what I say. And to this day, I can't slow down.
Yeah, I know you're a machine. Like seriously, like I can't keep up with you. You're always on the go, always doing, always going. You're very driven, and that's one thing I really admire about you, among a bunch of other things too, I might add. But your passion and your drive and your ambition, I don't think they're second to none. I don't think hardly anybody beats you there, because you definitely have a passion and a drive and a fire. That just doesn't ever seem to extinguish. You always seem to like have more in the tank.
Well, as you well know, I had a massive heart attack, and I recovered from that. I'm still recovering, but I'm doing good. After I had it, I couldn't walk. I was a walker, and I used a cane, but I had some therapy, and I told my wife, I said, I'm going to beat this. I don't care. I'm not going to be walking with a cane. I'm going to be walking with a walker. And as a matter of fact, I'm back. To me, I'm close, not quite normal now, 100% like I want to be. To me, I feel like I'm 80%, but people that see me, they think I'm 100%. But I got to feel that I'm 100%, even though I know I'm not. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there real quick. I graduated from what's called cardiotherapy yesterday, and I met some people there in the cardio unit were all the same problems as I had, and I was good for some of the people there because I worked real hard, so they would work hard like I did.
Yeah.
And they even told me though, he said, we're going to miss you because you make us work harder. And there again, it's the communication you have with people.
Yeah.
And some of those guys they come in there the same way I did, just really hurting. They need it. And when I left, a couple of my friends there that I said, you guys come a long ways. He goes, yeah, thank you, Ruben, for pushing us a little bit. And I didn't push him. I just didn't say nothing. They just watched me.
Right.
So we all done our own little thing. And he said, we're going to miss you. I wish you wasn't leaving. I go, hey, I'm done, guys. I'm out of here.
Right. You graduated. It's time to move on. Right.
So, but no, it's a great program that they put me on. And some people don't take full advantage of it like they should. Yes. But this is some of the stuff that I learned in the Marine Corps and I learned in the service, and not just the Marine Corps, but other branches of the service. If you put to use what you learn, you get rewarded.
I agree with that. Well, we're going to have to wrap things up, and I don't want to, though. So I'm looking forward to another talk, maybe if you're up to it at a later time. But I wanted to thank my brother-in-law, Ruben Gaona, for coming on the show. And I want to thank you for joining Tracer Rounds tonight. And we gave one of my favorite veterans a voice tonight. Thank you, Ruben. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, and goodbye, you all veterans, and stay tough.
Sounds good. Bye. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.